This is Town Roots Podcast, episode number 21.
Welcome to the Town Roots Podcast, the podcast of, about, and for Oakland. No matter if you live in the town, do business here, or are visiting, we have something for you. And now, your hosts, Anthony Wilson and Vincent Hayes.
Hey, everybody. Today we have Nicole Felix with Pound Bizness talking about her business. And so with that, I want to turn it over to her. How you doing, Nicole?
Hey, Vincent. How's it going?
Great. So happy to have you on here. So just a little bit of context for our listeners. Nicole and Anthony and I have all known each other over the past, probably 4 or 5 years, at least for me, through different relationships and businesses and whatnot. So it's so cool and refreshing to be able to highlight one of our own, if you will, on this podcast. With that, let's just jump right in. Anthony, did you want to say anything before we get started?
I've known Nicole and I don't want to date either one of us. Okay. But if I put a 3 handle in front of it, would I be lying?
You would not be. You would not be. And I'll tell you, when Vincent first reached out and we had the conversation about talking about this opportunity today and just reminiscing to how far back he and I go and then how far back you and I go. It's just great to be reconnected again.
Totally agree. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing with Pound Bizness and how you got started.
Thank you. I want to first start off with saying that Pound Bizness is literally a labor of love. It is between me and my new husband, Reggie Borders. And Reggie and I, we actually met hiking. And a cake or a baking company, you wouldn't think that it would start off with such an intro as we met hiking, but we literally did. And after the hikes and what led to a potential courtship, Reggie and I started dating. And during the time that we were dating, I actually took ill, been a person who's been taking care of herself for so long. And so took ill and had to actually have someone take care of me. And Reggie and my mother did an excellent job in that. And during that time, when it was one of their shift change, my mom was going on to a church event. And so Reggie, he's had this cake, and throughout our dating and courtship, every time we went somewhere, people would ask Reggie about the cake. So when my mom was going to this church event, he actually baked my mom 4 cakes to take to the fundraiser. You all know back in the day, the church do the building fund and they have the fish fry and all that stuff. Yeah. So Reggie provided the pound cakes for the fish fry. And my mom came home. Guess what? I got you all a dozen orders.
Wow.
I'm like, how you got us a dozen when we're not even a business? And so that was around like the Thanksgiving time frame. And so we fulfilled those dozen orders and it turned into 30 orders. And by then, and we kicking it, if you will. And so then the following year came back, that 30 turned into 70. In between that time, Reggie was having a milestone birthday. And Anthony, you and I talked about our 3 decades of knowing one another through the National Association of Black Accountants. Off of that, I birthed a nonprofit called Life Courses and Learn, Inspire, Focus, and Elevate. And in that nonprofit, one of the main things was teaching about financial literacy and entrepreneurship. And so Reggie and I were talking. I'm like, well, baby, you got demand. We need to give them supply. Mm-hmm. And we need to turn this into a business. So on his milestone birthday, he gave birth to Pound Bizness by getting the business licenses and everything. And we started the business. And just one more quick thing on that. We had the business where people would say, I want a cake. We'll bake the cake. Then folks were like, oh, I changed my mind about the cake. We were like, but we baked the cake. And so one of his friends taught us about Shopify. And so we built our e-commerce out of that and became an official business shipping across the U.S.
I love so many things about that story, Nicole. I don't even know where to start there. Like, first of all, it started with a few free cakes at the church, right? Like,
yes.
How many of us have had a free cake at the church, first of all? Right.
Yes.
And then the few free cakes turned into a dozen orders, would turn into 30 orders, would turn into 70. At that point, you had to feel like we have something here.
Yes, exactly. It's you underestimate, like you go somewhere, people, you take, it's a potluck, right? You take something and people are like, oh, this is good. And so then it got to the point to where we just started showing up and people were like, well, cake is the price of entry for you guys. If you don't have that, then why are you here? And so really listening to that. And one of the surprises is that people always think that I was the baker and I was the one that brought the cakes to the relationship, and just demystifying all those roles, if you will, of that. And I love even the story behind Reggie learning the recipe. He's originally from Tampa. And he came out here and he was nostalgic about home, and his auntie sent him a cake and he got the interest from his friends. And so he wanted to learn how to do it himself. And so he learned that cake. So I talk about during our courtship, Reggie brought me cake. He brought me sweet potato pie. He brought me all these different desserts. And so to see that something from his family has been able to become what it is right now is a beautiful thing.
And so it sounds like it was a family recipe. Did he do any twist to it, or are he doing the same way Auntie did?
What I love to say is that while he brought the relationship to this, he brought the cake to the relationship. Yeah. I brought the flavor.
Oh, you put a kick in it. You put a kick in it.
Yes, yes. So he followed it rule by rule, step by step, didn't want to steer away from it. And then I came in, what if we tried this? And what if we did this instead of that? And it took a little bit of convincing, but now we have like about 13 flavors or so on the menu. Yeah. And he's what I call my classic man. So the classic flavor is what Reggie brought. Mm-hmm. And then one time to a trip to the barber, he took some cake and the barber said, have you guys ever tried lemon? No, let's try it. And we took him a piece. He loved it. Lemon is our most popular flavor. Another one of our fellow hikers was like, I'm having a birthday party and strawberry is my favorite flavor. Can you try to make me a strawberry one? We made that. And then off of that, we had strawberry lemonade and we had strawberry banana and so forth and so on. So every flavor has a story behind it. Majority of the flavors are just based on recommendations from our customers.
That's awesome. So, I love your website. I see the picture with you and your husband there with a cake mixer on the bench and a pound cake next to you. When you think about like how you're approaching marketing your cakes and your business, did you have to do anything special, or did it just naturally take off, or are you just do the cakes sell themselves?
A combination of all of that. That's one of my favorite pictures because I feel like Reggie has both of his babies next to him, me and the cakes, if you will. We talk about the secret ingredient being love and butter. And we deliberately took those photos outdoors because that's how we met one another once again, hiking. Can't remember what the question was, but I'm sorry, we're going to have to edit this part. What was the original question?
I was just going to say, it was basically just asking how you approach marketing.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Vincent. The way that we approach marketing the way that we approach the cakes, we say that it sells themselves because the sweetness and the goodness of it. But we say that the cake is the price of entry. So many stories come out of when the people taste the cakes. When we're at farmer markets and we give out samples, individuals instantly go to that memory or that moment they always refer to grandma. This is grandma's recipe. Look at the texture and all of those things. That sells the cakes as well.
Are you also primarily doing your business in Oakland? And if so, is that strategic, or what's the process behind that?
Yeah, I want to give a little bit of a background story behind that because one, I love your name, Town Roots, and I want to talk a little bit about how we got to Pound Bizness. We were originally Reggie Cakes by the Pound. And at the time when we were going through the different DBAs doing business as, we didn't realize that there were other cakes by the pounds in different parts of the county. And it was at a point to where we were like, okay, do we want to continue to be cakes by the pound? We add on Reggie's Cakes by the Pound. Is that really differentiating what we're doing? And so actually one of my sorority sisters, we were at a women's conference and I was talking with her about this. And she was like, what you and Reggie need to do is just go home and do a whiteboarding session about different names and come up with a new name. And so on the way home, I was describing that concept to him. And so I was like, yeah, baby, we're going to put a white piece of paper on the board and we're going to write Pound Business and we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And he was like, wait a minute, hold up. What did you just say? And I was like, we're going to write Pound Business on the screen. He was like, that's it. Like, we sell cakes in the town. That's town business. So this is going to be Pound Business. And so that's where Pound Business came from. And Reggie's from Tampa Bay. I'm a Oakland native, born and raised. And so the base meeting, if you will, it just fit. It was just right.
Awesome. And for you, you guys got started probably maybe a year or two in the pandemic, right? Is that correct?
Actually, no, it was before. The story that I mentioned about the cakes and everything, that was like in 2017. And 2018 was when he gave birth to the business. And we just started taking off, like doing, I think our first event was the Sunday in the Redwoods in Oakland, where 300 to 500 folks gather, and we were out there selling our cakes and everything and becoming household names, and was getting other doors opened for us. We started doing pop-ups. We ended up doing a few corporate pop-ups. And in early 2020, I want to say the circuit we were at Adobe doing a Black History Month. Then we went to Airbnb to do a Black History Month. We were at SAP doing an event, and we started conversations with the Warriors. And we were in the process of getting into those cafes at those corporate locations and everything. And then we were planning for my birthday in March and baked all these cakes. And then I had to cancel my party because we went into shelter in place that weekend. And so here we are with all these cakes. Now we're in a pandemic, not knowing if we were going to do pop-ups again, not knowing where our next opportunities were going to come from. And we just said, okay. And we're actually doing this business and still both have a 9-to-5 as well. So we just started really just putting our emphasis into our 9-to-5. And Dave Clark, our KTVU news anchor, if you will, was on social media one day. And he was like, I'm looking for a brick and mortar that sells pound cake. And a lot of people started putting in his comments, check out Pound Business, check out Pound Business.
Nice.
And I'm a very literal person. So I'm like, Dave is looking for a brick and mortar. We're not a brick and mortar, so I'm not worried about it. Once again, I'm telling all the listeners, listen to your parents. Listen to your mama specifically. Mama said, send Dave Clark a cake to the station.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, Mom. So I sent Dave Clark a cake, and now we're about in May. I think it's like close to Mother's Day or whatever. All of us, we're on Shopify, so you get this cha-ching sound every time you get a order. So Reggie and I at home one Saturday, just chilling at home, and we heard cha-ching, cha-ching. I'm like, Reggie, something is happening. I don't know. And it just kept on going. And I'm like, whatever plans we had today, we have to cancel them because we have to bake. We're getting all these orders. And we just started fulfilling the orders. It was like orders as if it was Thanksgiving. And then someone tagged us. Dave Clark had the cake, posted it on his page, started slowly slicing into it and enticing his followers. And everybody just had to have what Dave Clark had. And so we had customers from Oakland to Discovery Bay to Fairfield and everything. And that just really opened up a new channel for us. Branching off of that, we were in this shelter in place longer than we could anticipate it. Individuals started having virtual banquets instead of in-person banquets. And so one of the things that became a thing is sending like Uber Eats cards for the meals. And then individuals started reaching out to us. We want to send desserts to our virtual gala attendees. And so then we started sending our cakes. And then we collaborated with one of our college friends. They opened up a wine bar in Alameda. So then our cakes, they were looking for a place. Once they got their wine lounge, they started to pair our cakes with their wine. And so then with these virtual galas, I'm like, if you're sending Uber Eats, they have to have a cocktail. So we would send our cakes and they would send their wine. Mm. And then eventually, what we learned during that pandemic was that food being essential. Farmer markets became a thing, or they were always a thing. It wasn't a thing to us. We were able to get the opportunity to go to East Oakland and in one of their new farmer markets at Liberation Park, and it's called Akoma Market. And so we became one of the vendors there at that market. And so that opened up opportunities and it just continued to expand. And the last thing that I would share is that being at Akoma Market, it opened up additional opportunities for us because the individuals from the Agriculture Institute of Marin, or the folks at the Lake Merritt Farmers Market, found us at Akoma Market and invited us to come and be vendors at Lake Merritt. And that was even at a time where you had the competition at the lake and everybody just activating and selling their things, not in a formalized way. And I'm not saying this disparagingly one way or another, but we always knew that wherever we had our product, it had to be in places where it was certified, if you will. Yeah. And so this opportunity to present in Grand Lake, to sell at Grand Lake, opened up new opportunities. So we just celebrated 1 year at Grand Lake, celebrated 2 years at Akoma Market. We've given out scholarships through cake sales. So the pandemic, it really presented a lot of opportunities where we thought we were done, but we didn't realize we were just beginning.
Mm. Oh, Nicole, I love your story there. And I think the first takeaway is listen to mama. Right,
listen to mama.
But the second thing, my takeaway from what you just said is I heard a lot of networking and relationships and small milestones and turned into bigger milestones, which turned into bigger opportunity. And just talk about that a little bit. Were you surprised that, we took this step and then that opened up this door, which opened up bigger doors?
Yeah, because I'll be honest, we were disappointed that we were on the verge of all these corporate opportunities, and then they just went away because of sheltered in place. Mm-hmm. And so it's like we took our ball and went home, was sitting down literally on the couch, and then this Dave Clark opportunity presented itself. Fast forward now to where we are right now, and you would think the farmer markets would be our success story, but really what the pandemic did was it opened up doors, but it also told us to slow down. And like Vincent was saying earlier when he asked the question, well, did you start your business at the start of the pandemic? And actually, I feel like we are just now starting our business. Mm. And the reason why I say that is because we've paused and we started being in various programs. We were in Main Street Launch. We were in the Small Business Development Center doing food incubators. We were in a Target program. We were in a Chase program. And through that, now we have a business plan. We have our NMSDC, National Minority Supplier Diversity Council certification of being a minority business enterprise. We have our Buy Black certification. We recently just did an event at Chase Center, and that's through being a part of the Chase Minority Business Initiative, where we were a part of a woman's marketplace in front of Chase Center. So it became more than being able to pop up in Oakland at a farmer's market. It became very strategic and created more doors for us to go through. And we're still not done yet.
Well, I had one question on something you said earlier. You were talking about the orders. Are you guys baked to order or do you carry inventory?
We're baked to order, but now looking at our analytics and looking at some of our more popular flavors, is if we bake it, they'll buy it, mm-hmm. so to speak. And we were home based. We're now in the process of transitioning to commercial space, but for the most part, we're baked to order. And even in that, I'll share quickly in regards to baking for e-commerce orders and baking for marketplace orders. There came a time after the racial reckoning and all these individuals wanting to support small businesses, support Black-owned businesses as well, where we've reached capacity at times and had to shut down our opportunities to do the bake to order because we had these huge bulk orders. This past holiday season, we provided like close to 1,000 slices to the Eat, Learn, Play Foundation for their tree trimming event. One Black History Month, we did 2,100 slices for the Kaiser's Black History Month program. There was a time when World Central Kitchen was doing a few collaborations with nonprofits, and two in particular, the Oakland Collective, ran by Candace, and Okur, the Dave Okur Center in East Oakland, at the time ran by the executive director, Shamari. They were ordering 500 slices and 600 slices to give away to the community along with their food. And we were able to be a part of that. And most of the times we didn't just send the cake, we actually got out there and served the cake as well.
Mm-hmm. And how do you guys deliver it? Do you have delivery service? I think you mentioned before Uber Eats, or do people come pick it up from you?
Yeah, so we're not on Uber Eats. We used to have delivery services. Delivery services was myself and Reggie. That stopped quickly after we expanded. So
that's
we
what I was
mainly shipped.
Where you got personally delivering the cake.
We were personally delivering. So now you can find us at the farmer markets, or you can order your cake and it's shipped.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I got another quick question for you, just because I can't imagine what your kitchen must look like. So I guarantee you that you're probably welcoming the ability to move to commercial space. But when you're in your own space, making baked goods like that, is it easy because you're both aligned? Do you ever have issues where, no, we need to put this much in? And do you ever have like disagreements about how the process should work?
Yes. After being together as business partners, I'm happy that we actually moved forward and got married. Both can be easy, but both can be difficult. There's times when I make the cake and I do it this way, and he makes the cake and he does it that way. But in the end, that love ingredient is what makes it all work. It's so funny because I think we have like about 11 mixers here at the home now. And it was at a time where Reggie would go on the Facebook Marketplace and buy mixers, new mixers, can you imagine, and bring them home. I'm like, we don't need one more mixer here in the house. But that's how we keep up with the demand. We have a full production here. We have freezers in the garage, storage in the garage, mixers just for baking, mixers just for sifting flour. And we're looking forward to making that transition to commercial so we can have our home back.
And do you guys have employees, Nicole, or is it just the two of you doing the whole show?
For the longest, it was just the two of us. And then we realized in order to be a better business, we have to start to expand and take some of that responsibility off of us, because once again, we both have a full-time job in addition to that. And it's been a beauty to be able to hire some teenagers. We have like about 4 teenagers working with us at the market on different times. We now have a bookkeeper handling our financials and everything. We are in need of a social media manager. If there's listeners out there that is interested in applying to Pound Business, there will be some opportunities available soon as we're going through that process of expanding our operations beyond just the baking of it.
No, to wrap this up, where can people find you to buy your?
Yes, first of all, poundbizness.com. And if you were listening attentively earlier, business is like Pound Business. So BIZNES. Poundbizness.com is our website. We're at the farmer market every Saturday at Grand Lake. We're at Akoma market every first and third Sundays. And then you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Pound Business.
And we'll be sure to put links to all of that stuff in the show notes for the episode.
Great. Thank you.
Hey, Nicole, thanks so much. This has been fantastic.
Oh, you can't even imagine. It's been great for me being reconnected to the both of you. Congratulations on your podcast, on your families and everything that you're doing. And thank you for bringing this podcast to the community.
Thank you for listening to the Town Roots Podcast. For more information about the show, to leave comments and connect with the hosts, head over to www.townroots.com.